Um, Hello everyone. This is bi-weekly Kubernetes batch working group community meeting. Today is June 18th. I'm Yuki. Today I'm hosting this meeting. So we have a couple of agendas. First is Amy.
Yeah, just like a quick link that I thought was interesting. So I just noticed that Q was used to train one of like the frontier scale models at Microsoft. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, that's it. Oh, also, Tara, I think I see you're on the call. Do you want to move your agenda item into the June 18th section? I noticed you adding it recently.
Yeah,
Uh,
so like I
we,
think Andrea edited it, so I don't know that I can move it.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we can move it.
But yeah,
so
I'm here
which
to
which
talk about
which
it.
agenda?
The one that says Andrea and Tara discuss use cases behind the last one. I can move it. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's the same for me. I didn't know I can move it. I just added me. Yeah.
You, does
If we can
you
discuss
mean
it
this one?
today? Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Let's try to add the topic to the list.
Thanks.
Okay. And the next is Andrew or at once multi-queue dispatcher status.
Yeah, I wanted to know what is going to happen to the all at once multi-queue dispatcher, because I see that we're working on the incremental dispatcher and adding a step size feature, which would make the all at once MQ obsolete. So I'm not sure what we should do with this one.
Yeah. Thank you for working on this cleanups. Yeah. Basically, we agreed to move this dispatcher to the dedicated controller. I guess we approval just have to review this one. So actually, it's Andrew. So have you addressed the OREX review comment?
Yeah, most of the comments have been addressed, but the PR haven't been rebased yet.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think the next step is uh, re-reviewing this PR.
Yes, I was involved in review, so it's definitely something that we agreed on, so to do. And I think this still holds. So if you have capacity to finalize the PR, then please do. I don't think that all at once is becoming obsolete or anything like this, because it still provides easier user experience than incremental. Like I don't think it's very intuitive for users to use incremental with very high step size to achieve. Like it's not. We may commonize the implementation in the follow-ups, but from like the user perspective, I think all at once much better expresses the intention, and for this reason, we want to keep it. Maybe we at the code level, we certainly don't want to keep duplicated code. So we need to arrive in a sequence of steps where we commonize the solution as much as possible. But in the interim step, I'm okay with a little bit of duplication that is eliminated in the follow-up steps. Yeah, so I don't think it's getting obsolete or anything like this.
Okay, I'll finalize the PR then, and then open an issue to commonize the multi-queue dispatchers when the incremental one is finalized as well.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Like if you like propose some kind of plan for the follow-up to commonize the code, it would be very valuable for us.
Thanks.
Yep, sounds good. Any other comments? No? Okay. So the next is Kevin, classic workload default.
Yeah, I have the next two. Let me just share real quick. I'll be quick. I know we have
Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
yeah. I forgot I'm no longer host.
Yeah. Um, Give me some second. Okay. I made you co-host.
Okay. There we go. All right. Sorry, give me a sec. Yeah, this is just a KEP that's kind of been up for a little while. So it started with sorry, can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
So the
I can.
first round of this, I was looking at it was a discussion that somebody was asking for like a workload time. Basically, they wanted to enforce some kind of time limit on workloads at a namespace level. I realize that doesn't really fit with a lot of our configurations. So I drafted a KEP to sorry. Basically, the idea really is to provide like uh, a section in the in cluster queue for like workload defaults. Most people, I think, that use queue don't even know that we have a workload feature that can enforce time limits on all the workloads we support in queue. And but I find that like you can add this annotation, but most people are not doing that. I think adding like a mutating webhook to add this is probably a little bit heavy. And also, when I look at an alternative like Slurm, they actually do build in time limits in jobs. So when you submit to a partition or their equivalent, our equivalent of a cluster queue, they're automatically defaulting jobs if you don't specify a time limit. I think the way they why they do this is they want to kind of have some predictability of scheduling and knowing when jobs will finish. So I was kind of wanted to propose this to maybe start kind of having admins the ability to enforce time limits on workloads. And Slurm has this concept. They have a whole bunch of defaulting stuff as a cluster queue. So the reason why I created this workload defaults is to kind of start thinking maybe we can add more fields over time. But for right now, I wanted to focus on adding like a maximum execution time that will automatically get applied to the workload so that we have at least some kind of policy in place to enforce time limits at the cluster queue level. I am just I'm bringing this here to kind of open the floor for discussion and hopefully get some reviews on this one. I think it's not too complicated. So I don't think I think the general consensus seemed like it was okay to go forward with this on the issue. But does anybody have any questions? That's
Can
all
I
on
ask?
Yuki.
Yeah. Can I ask some questions? So, actually, this is the first time to check your cap. But so I want to ask about why class IQ. I just wondering if you want to introduce this field to local queue level instead of class IQ. So I want to
I forgot
scraping your use
if
case.
Marcin was on he's not on the call, but he did have the feedback that we have no configuration really at at the local queue level. And because like all our local queue really does is point to a cluster queue. And so most of our configuration, most of what our admins are doing are setting fields on cluster queues. So I thought that it made sense to go at the cluster queue level for now. Uh, I actually think that it could make sense to have it at the local queue level, but as of the moment, I can see more value at the cluster queue level just for the admin perspective and be able to kind of enforce the policy for multiple people across namespaces rather than deploying this for every namespace or every local queue slash namespace. So that was, at least, I think I agreed with Martin on that, on why it maybe makes more sense to put it at the cluster queue level.
I see. So in the first discussion, so you propose the local queue level, but after discussion with Martin, so you transform this cap to the cluster queue level. Yeah. So that makes sense. So I just want to confirm. So we never introduce same field to the local queue level in the future. I mean, so I want to conclude the decisions at this time to avoid introducing duplicated field between cluster queue and local queue. So if you free okay with cluster queue level, yeah, I also agree with this cap.
I mean, I guess I can't really say. I don't know at the moment if local queue would be useful, but I guess right now we don't do a lot of. We're not really doing a lot of API changes on the local queue, so I don't know. Maybe that's open for the community about like whether or not we want more configuration at the namespace level per user, or are we rather preferring like this kind of configuration at the cluster queue level?
I see. Mihal?
Yeah, actually, if we only have cluster queue use case, then I would go for cluster queue. But Yuki, wouldn't this make like still sense to have the defaulting at both layers? Like in the future, if we add the defaulting at the local queue level, then we could make like kind of precedence that if specified the local queue that it wins, if not, then we fall back to cluster queue default. It seems to me that this could be like a natural progression without drawing anything. Like we could
Yeah,
start with for what we have business use case for now, and then once like new use cases come, then we could consider at both layers. At least I don't see anything contradictory to that approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as a real use cases, I can understand both levels, cluster queue level and the local queue level. So I'm wondering if so how we can how can we tell which default time the execution time second is prioritized after we introduce the local queue and the cluster queue. I mean, so yeah, so if users read all API documentations, they can understand that. But I don't think everyone read all API documentations. So as much as possible, so I want to introduce some mechanism instead of documentations um, for kindly understandable so
Yeah, I think that
prioritization mechanism.
no, I think I get you. So I mean, as of right now, I think what I did was if the label's on the workload, that takes precedence over the cluster queue level. I guess maybe there is a question of, if people. I have to check what Slurm does. I am curious, like if you set a time limit that is greater than what your partition is that allowed, or is that the value you set at the cluster queue the upper limit and you can only go below that? I'm not sure. I also don't know how much. Part of me is like, one of the reasons why I think this is useful is I'm hoping to kind of introduce some kind of predictability for queue scheduling, even if it's a difficult problem to say like when jobs will actually get picked up if we have no time limits on them. Like you can be position 1 of the queue, but if you're in a service that's running forever, well, that doesn't matter. So I like the idea of like maybe like it's something Slurm, it does look at the time limits of jobs to decide, like to understand when workloads could actually be placed. So I'm just trying to think at like a policy level, having some kind of enforcement for time limits would be useful. If people are reading our docs and want to, I guess maybe it's, it is a question like if I set the cluster queue, can I go greater than that? I guess that's something I need to think about, or we can talk about in the KEP. I don't know if it has to be solved for alpha, but I'll maybe reach out to the Slurm folks to kind of see like what pattern they do there, because like I think my concern is no one's really setting this annotation. And so that there are no time limits on jobs, and I would like to kind of have at least some enforcement. So I'm open to, if people specify a time, we just obey that one and we let them override the cluster queue level. But I could see the argument either way.
Yeah, basically I fully agree with your use case. The reason why I raised this topic right now is so this is introducing a new API field. So we cannot remove this new field in the future, which means introducing a new API version, right? So yeah, anyway, so I think we can move this forward. So but just to let me consider API constructions and yeah, whatever. Yeah, but I agree with cross level execution time defaulting mechanism.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, just please, whoever wants to review, comment. I'm looking for people to add to the reviews and approvers. And yeah, hopefully we can get this in for 019. That'd be great. And I think it sounds like there are no other questions. I have another item that's actually even shorter than this one. This one wasn't as short as I thought it would be. But it is related to, this came up, sorry, where is it? I think Yuki and Mihal are aware of this one, but this came up in some security scans we were doing on Q, that the use of path for multi-queues does kind of open us up into some maybe hypothetical path injection, but generally we don't provide any kind of validation of the path that some people are passing into the multi-queue API. And we're finding that, like, at least I asked around in my org, people are not, they're mostly using cluster profiles now, at least from the OCM side. We're going forward with that. So secrets and paths are being, cluster profiles are what we want people to actually use in production. But we were debating about, I should probably rename this, but we've been debating about if how much to support path. And I think the discussion we had was to at least maybe make it more secure in the developer case. At least I think we still want to encourage people to use secrets or cluster profiles for this, because it is kind of actually difficult to secure this. But yeah, I wanted to open this one up. I have a PR, kind of like our goal was to at least secure path by forcing a hard coding of the path to a location and do some validation, making sure that we're not reading outside of that directory, basically, and provide that as the going forward of how we would offer the path support. But we're still wanting to kind of recommend cluster profiles or secrets over path. So I guess if anyone has any concerns, please feel free to comment on the KEP, or not the KEP, the issue or the PR. And yeah, I guess I see Oleg. Thank you for raising your hand. Go ahead.
So do I understand correctly that you'd like to proceed with both these PRs, like the validation in the short term and deprecation in the long term? Is that your proposal?
Well, I think I need to retitle it. I think we decided not to do a deprecation. Originally, I was thinking we would just remove the API due to that one, but I think Mihal convinced me otherwise, that we should at least offer a more secure version of this. So the feature gate will, like, we have a feature gate that we're going, like, the path off. The feature gate off means we don't do any validation of the path. Feature gate on means we require a hard coded path that we define in the API, and we also validate to make sure there's nobody's getting around that path. And then going forward, that would be our way to, like, at least offer this in a more secure way. And so we would still keep the path. We still recommend in production people use secrets or cluster profiles, but at least we keep that support for people using it. So I can retitle the issue. I would say it's more about securing the path field rather than deprecating at this moment.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Yuki.
Yuki.
Oh, sorry.
No, Yuki, go first.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Yeah, so I remember that this was discussed in private channel. So actually, so I am a little bit hesitating this PL because this indicates make multi-queue API variations strong, right? So stronger variation indicates API break in the Kubernetes. And actually, so this is the first time in Kube repository breaking the API change in the beta stage. But this is a security issue. So yeah, so we actually, so we have two approaches. The first is your approach, introducing feature gate with API break, and the second is creating updating API version to be on beta 3 only in multi-queue API. But so the second option have to so more efforts in our side. Yeah, so I want to ask about how we can handle this topic with Mihao.
Yeah, actually, in the past, this is not really the first case. I will paste in the chat the very similar case we had also with multi-queue, where we restricted the API for kube configs, because in the past we were open completely to any kube config. But in kubeconfig, some syntax allows you to run any custom script. So this was also raised by some security folks as a vulnerability. So what we did is introduce the feature gate that would allow users who use like this kind of syntax and they rely on that for like transition period. But I think we can drop the feature gate in the future so that we will restrict the API. We can use the feature gate as a transition period. Because I think ideally we don't support insecure. And I don't know if we really need to do v1 beta 3 in order to secure our API in situations like this. So I actually, yes, propose to just hard code the path. I cannot imagine like this would be very much breaking for users. Yeah, maybe some users will need to adjust their paths, but to the hard-coded ones, but I think this is very, very light break, I would say. And also, I don't really know any other user using paths. So for what I know, none of our users would be broken because we recommend cluster profiles and to kube configs as the to-go-to solutions. So I think this is the simplest, because deprecation and removal is also a lot of hassle. And so I just think like the feature gate could save us a little bit of work.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember this previous validation strong PL. I guess the Kevin's recent variation PL is more impactful on the production cluster, I guess, because I guess almost local kube config users specifies their arbitrary path currently, I guess. But in the previous API break about multi-queue config, about insecure skip PLS verify is more optional field. Yeah, but I agree with we want to avoid API version upgrades as much as possible. So I want to propose, can we start alpha stage in this feature gate? So as I checked the current PL, this feature gate is enabled by default with beta stage, right? So which means once users update queue versions, their multi-queue cluster environment will be broken immediately, right? So my proposal is in the first step, in the 0.19, we introduce this feature gate as alpha, and if they violate these validations, we want to output some warning logs or warning messages via webhook or log mechanism. And in the second step, 0.20, 0.20, we want to graduate this feature gate to the beta. And so we follow the generic feature gate graduation step eventually. So what about this more soft landing approaches?
Yeah, I think that's probably fine. I guess, yeah, let me dig out if I'll figure out like if there's any kind of like, I guess the only concern would be if we log, I don't know, did we log the multi-queue config at all? Like, I guess my concern would be like having this in path injection, and if we log any information there, we could leak something important. And that's the only thing I'd be concerned on here. But I don't know if I'll check to see if we do that, how serious that issue would be. But yeah, I mean, otherwise we can go with alpha. And then I like the idea of the warning, at least verify that maybe it will be deprecated, though that would only be for people creating new resources, right? It wouldn't be reconciled if they're old, I think.
Yeah, so control runtime event handler received all events once queue control manager is restarted, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I guess the control runtime webhook mechanism provide warning mechanism, right? So I guess we can implement warning in the webhook servers instead of controller mechanism. In that case,
Yeah,
once queue control manager is restarted, so the users directly receive the warning message from webhook servers. Does that make sense?
yeah, I guess the thing is there are no webhooks for multi-queue though.
Yeah, multi-queue, yeah, resource.
Well, there are no. I don't think we have any webhooks for multi-queue. So
Currently, so we don't have web servers, right?
I know we don't have a defaulting or a validation webhook for multi-queue clusters at all. I think we do the validation in the reconciler.
Yeah, variation, but just warnings in the alpha stage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can do that. I'll also check to see how serious the exploit is on this one. I don't think it's that concerning. But yeah, I mean, we can go that route and yeah, I will update the CUP or update the feature to kind of at least have a warning on the alpha side that we are going to be phasing this one out for more secure in 0.20.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good. All right, that's all for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What about Mihao? So for this updated proposal?
I'm okay with that, but at the same time, I'm also okay straight to beta. Doesn't matter much because again, I don't see any users that we work with being impacted either way.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Any other comments from others? Okay. So let's move to the next topic. Few contributors in last 12 months.
You want to share your
Who
screen
was
again, Yuki? The
Oh,
agenda.
sorry.
Yeah.
Who was added?
Yeah,
This
I
one.
added because we were doing internally some statistics for Q to see like the scale of the development here in the project, and basically we thought that it might be interesting for the community to share. So I'm basically sharing. If you open the stats, then yeah, I think there is quite a volume. So what I did in the script, like it was wiped, is just collected statistics from the last year of contributions and basically sorted all contributors by the number of years they did. And it's like over 200 contributors, which is probably more than any internal project can ever reach, which shows like kind of the power of open source, which we wanted also like to use to promote the internally, so that yeah, because it's always difficult sometimes to justify the work on open source, so that's why we collect stats like this, and at the same time wanted to share with the community that if you need at your company maybe to show that you are working on some project, and then maybe the scale of the contributions is important for the management.
Yeah, thank you for summarizing this information. So yeah, we always happy to so represent appreciation for all contributors. So I think this is great for the appreciation. Yep.
Cool.
Any comments? Okay. So the next is we have a couple of minutes. So Andrea and Tara discuss use cases behind adding max priority threshold to requirements in code.
Cool. So I'm just sending the ticket to the chat because I don't think it was linked in there. So basically,
Do you want
sorry.
to share your screen?
I don't know how to do that because I'm using like WebZoom.
Yeah, I can make you co-host, and you can share your screen.
Okay, cool. Let me see if we can. Is it?
I can also share if that's easier.
Yeah, do you want to share, Andrea? Because I can't figure it out. I'm not.
Yeah, okay. Give me some second.
Thank you.
Yep, Andrea, you can share your
Perfect.
screen.
Thank you.
So basically, we opened this ticket to add like a max priority threshold to reclaim within cohort. And so the use case here to go over it is basically having multiple teams that share one cohort, which I think is pretty typical, and basically wanting to give them the ability to have their own somewhat guaranteed quota. So basically, they can reclaim that nominal quota as theirs if somebody's using it. Like, we want to be able to have them share the quota between them, but we also want like that one like claiming team to be able to take it back if they need it. But there's one like special circumstances in which we don't want it reclaimed, and that's if there's like a super critical workload running on it that can't be disrupted. We want it to essentially be protected by all means. So like nothing can ever evict that one workload. And so the easiest way we could think of doing this was adding the max priority threshold to reclaim within cohort. But another way of doing this could be to add like an option and reclaim within cohort to like same or lower priority instead of just any. Because right now the options are any, which means anything, which is the desired behavior of being able to take anything back that somebody else is using from you. And then, but that is for all priorities. So if there's something super critical, it won't protect that. And the other thing is lower priority, which doesn't really work because pretty much everything would be the same priority unless it's like the super critical one. And so that would be like, I think the only two options we could think of to make this work would be, yeah, that like reclaim within cohort having an option of same or lower, and then where it would reclaim something if it's closer in the tree, if it's same or lower priority, and then the max priority threshold, which I think implementation wise would be a little less disruptive, but API wise would be more disruptive. That was pointed out. So that kind of covers the use case.
Yeah, I guess the first one is Amy.
Yeah. I guess I think I'm just confused about the like scenario. So like what I'm confused about is like, so you have nominal quota and we have hierarchical cohorts, right? So nominal quota protects your guarantees within your cluster queues. So then I guess what you're talking about more is like when you burst past these guarantees, I guess like wanting some sort of semantics to still protect some of the capacity and the burst capacity across other cluster queues. Like, could you go through like a scheduling scenario where you're looking to use this new proposal?
Yeah, so say I'm in team A, right? And I share a
Yeah.
cohort with team B. And so I'm not using any of my nominal quota at all for time being. And team B needs it. And so we're not just going to have resources sitting around. Team B goes ahead and takes it. Then I, as team A, uh, would like to reclaim that because now I need to use it and I get priority because those are mine. And so I can take it back from team B. So that's like the first case. And then the second case is, well, team B is using my quota in team A, but team B has something super critical. And like per agreement within the organization for really critical stuff, team B is allowed to use it if it has it. Like I can never disrupt that job from team B.
I see.
Because it like
And then
super important.
team B is bursting past the capacity and using team A. Okay.
Exactly, but it's allowed to in this case.
I think for that, have you maybe Mihao, like is it maybe this ties more with like Uber queues? Because like the thing that you don't want for Q, right, is to break the nominal quota contract, which it seems like you're sort of like implying is like happening here, where it's like, yeah, like for team A, they have a chunk of nominal quota. For team B, they have another chunk of nominal quota. But like team B has this like super high priority workload that is using both its own nominal quota and like going past its burst, but you don't want it preempted. It's tricky because like nominal quota is like a pretty tight contract for Q. Where like breaking it feels weird. But there is another proposal upstream called like Uber queues. Um, that might be interesting to you. But I'll let Mihao kind of like talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we very much recognize this need, and we actually have the need very much because sometimes users have this user like Uber cluster queue, Uber workloads that are usually like training. I don't know if this is exactly your use case, but we are working with users who would like say once in 2 months, maybe want to run like super huge training job that would use maybe half of the cluster, and no one could preempt it because it's like training the new frontier model, let's say. So these are not running regularly, but they happen time to time. And then the question is, what do you want to do for this kind of training next frontier model scenarios? Do you want to edit nominal quotas for all cluster queues? This is a lot of work, manual. And of course, we already have people who would script it, but we want to have some kind of solution native in Q. So in this approach, that you would have two cluster queues, both with nominal quotas for team A and team B. And additionally, you would have kind of Uber cluster queue that is meant to run only like super high priority next frontier training models. And what would this do? It would lower the nominal quotas for the two cluster team A and cluster team B Uber cluster queues. So even if they have like high nominal quota, we would lower them so that we can preempt and we can run the training of the next frontier job. So this is our kind of approach to that, but it's not prioritized yet. Now, what you propose is a little bit easier to achieve. At the same time, it is, we also considered something like this, like not preemptible workloads, etc. But from our investigation, this is rather, because you need to assume kind of priority thresholds, etc. And this is tricky to manage because like in Q, we gravitate away from like priorities. So that's why we introduced fair sharing, because priorities are easy to abuse sometimes, or you need to have admission webhooks, etc. in your organization to really respect the priorities. So that's why we are rather going towards the model of fair sharing, where you have DRS, etc., where you basically have higher level construct. Like it's not that the user sets the workload priority, but it's the admin that sets the rules of preemption between cluster queues. And maybe it's the admin who decides that, okay, this cluster queue is the highest priority cluster queue. So saying that, I'm a little bit skeptical about priority thresholds. Like we did it in the past, as you see in the max priority threshold, but now we consider this path of development rather I don't know if deprecated. Yeah, I think deprecated is good word. Maybe not officially, but we are more going towards fair sharing and some rules at the cluster queue level. We don't yet have dates for the feature, so yeah, it's probably 0.20 more like. Okay, so I was talking a lot. I think Yuki has also a hand, but also feel free to later comment if the Uber cluster queues would work for you.
Yeah.
They-
So, sorry. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh no, I was just gonna say they might. I would have to look more into the details of it.
Okay, I will post the link to the under this issue to the Uber cluster queues proposal.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually added the Uber cluster queue issue in the today's agenda. So yeah, you can easily check that. So from my side, so as we discussed with Michal previously, so we planned the Uber cluster queue in the 0.19, 0.19. So did you change your prioritizations with 0.20 for now, right?
Yeah, I don't think it will land on our side that we have capacity. Maybe we will do this 0.19. What we want to do is rather kind of preliminary work with effective nominal quota. So we want to introduce the concept of effective quotas that could be preparatory for the Uber cluster queues. But I think to do everything related to Uber cluster queues in 0.19 is not feasible at this point.
So does effective quota means multi-queue related feature, right?
Yeah, well, it's a new field that we want to, or we consider it's not yet fully proposed. We still have some kind of back and forth of the API. But yes, the idea is that cluster queue in its status would have kind of effective nominal quota field that would could take or be computed based on the what is in the spec, but also could respect in case of cluster queues multi-queue, it would take data aggregated from the workers, but in case of hero workloads, it could take respect the other Uber cluster queue, and then basically lower the effective quota compared to what was declared initially.
So so in that case, are you planning to expand the effective resource group enhancement scope to outside of a multi-cluster, right?
Yeah,
So
we want
even
API that could be able to host both of the use cases,
yeah.
but not necessarily do all of the features at once. Like prepare API that is generate enough that will later be able to host both use cases, but not necessarily do both features at day one.
Yeah, so I the reason why I checked it for now is so I actually proposed to expand the responsibility for generic use cases in effective resource group features in open the cap. Yeah, so I agree with so we don't need to implement everything at the same time. So I just before we start with this
Tara's been really
proposed.
patient. She has her hand up. Sorry.
Oh,
Do you
thank
have?
you.
Yeah. So sorry. So I just want to mention about what this 12046 issue. So I mean so before we start these implementations, we want to confirm if Uber Classic you can resolve your use cases because we want to avoid introducing duplicated features and don't want to block some features, any other features. So yeah, just so and so I guess today you catched up Uber cluster queue first time, right? So after this meeting, so can you post this evaluations Uber cluster queues proposal for your use case? Yeah.
Yeah, I can
And
do that.
Tara, yeah. Yep.
The other thing is, I had a question because is Uber cluster queues based on fair sharing, or is it based on classical like this is?
It would, I think, work with both scenarios. So it's not strictly depending on like fair sharing versus classical changes the candidate for preemption ordering.
Mm-hmm.
But what this Uber cluster queue is changing is the set of candidates. So by lowering effective nominal quota from the level that was in the spec, we say that okay, now during the next frontier training, we need to lower to let's say 50%. So this means that some of the workloads that were in the cluster queue for team B or cluster team A, they now are vulnerable to be evicted. So the set of candidates for preemption is larger, but this is kind of orthogonal to the algorithm for the ordering of the preemption candidates. So I think this feature is orthogonal.
Yeah, no, this actually does seem really interesting. I'm excited to read up on it. I guess the one thing I would advise, so you talk about moving away from classical, but I'm a little worried that fair sharing might be complicated for some users. So I would be careful about completely like moving support away from that, because while I looked at it and it looked extremely cool, I was worried about our user base not really having clear understanding of how this is working, and it could cause confusion. So I would definitely like advise not jumping in to get rid of some of that more classical preemption and classical pattern, because I do think it's a little easier from an understandability standpoint, even if it's not as like feature rich.
Yeah, it's not getting deprecated or dropped, the classical. It's more about, and as I said, the Uber is kind of orthogonal. It's just that because it's orthogonal and that, so this means it allows us to hit two birds in one stone, maybe if done properly, the Uber cluster queues. Yeah, so it's, yeah, but I'm not saying we would didn't do this proposal because it's much simpler, and I understand also your concerns about complications of the of sharing. So
Yeah, just a
it's
comment. So yeah, Pascal preemption. So Pascal doesn't indicate a negative word. So we just named the previous preemption mechanism as Pascal. So we will continue to support classical preemption in the future. Unfortunately, both fair sharing and classical preemption. We might want to replace the technical term with more kind of name. Yeah, but yeah, we can reconsider after this meeting. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. I'll follow up on, me and Andrea will do an analysis on Uber cluster queues and let you know how it looks.
Thank you.
Yep. Sounds good. So actually, so we don't have enough time to discuss about the next cap. And I guess so. The next Kevin's agenda is small. So
Yeah, it was just
yeah.
I
So
just
can we
wanted to
skip this one? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, all I'm gonna
Kevin.
say, yeah, so basically, we have a Linux Foundation mentor who is working on adding a plugin for Q into Headlamp. They're on their week 2 of the fellowship. A co-mentor. Just wanted to bring awareness to this one if you're interested or just want to follow the work. just want to let people know that that will be hopefully we'll be making progress. So yeah, and I guess like the start of this one was just a like of the first resource, which was resource flavor, but at least we expect to be building on this one and kind of have like the nice thing about Headlamp is it has a lot of other plugins and a lot of integrations, and it's very extensible. So if you're not aware with it, it's an interesting project. But yeah, they have a couple mentorship programs going in flight right now. They also have a volcano plugin too, so it seems a lot of people are contributing to it. So it's exciting to me at least. But anyway, yeah, that's all. I'll keep you all apprised of it too.
We have 2 minutes. So yeah, Jose was mentioning his is pretty quick. Let's just see if we can get it, and then if we don't, we can cut you off. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, my idea is just that internally we are using Q, and I realized about QVs actually is not very well promoted, I will say. It was difficult to find, but when I found it, I wanted to expose that dashboard to the team, and I found out that actually it was quite complicated to make it. Not complicated, but it was more complicated than I expected. It is exposing two daemon set, two different services, so you need two ingresses, two entries in the load balancer, two DNS, and I was thinking that maybe it can be simplified a bit for a very quick setup where you have both containers in the same pod. So you just have, I mean, both containers, I mean the front end and the back end, and you just expose one single service, and that will be easy. I mean, you don't need to register two DNS, you don't need to register two ingresses. I mean, I was wondering how other people was doing. Other people are doing everything for both backend and front end. I know it gives flexibility, but it's like duplicating the work that is not necessary for everybody. It's just my suggestion is to create an option that allows people to deploy everything in one single pod, a sidecar
Can
architecture.
you add this to a GitHub issue, and then we can continue the conversation there, or like link the GitHub issue there? Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I put it in the chat. The GitHub issue.
Yeah,
Nice.
basically, I don't have any objections to make two deployment options. Yeah. So can you open issue or point issues before discussing? Yep.
So, okay.
Yep. Thank you. So any other comments? Actually,
No,
this is
I just would state what I said. I think on the issue that it would be cool to make the deployment easier, because currently it's quite convoluted. I agree. So at least for Helm charts, we could have an option like we already have enable QVs, right? But does this work out of the box? I'm not sure. Joseph?
Yeah, you can just enable it, and yeah, it works out of the box right now, how it is. You need to enable it from the chart, the help. It
Okay.
works, but yeah, just like more complex than it could be, in my opinion, for a simplest use case.
So you say that we could add some options to the chart that would maybe couple frontend and backend into one pod, for example, or something like this?
Yes, that's my suggestion. One additional option and to couple them.
Yeah, this sounds good to me.
any other comments? All right. So yeah, thank you for joining today's meeting. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.